a nice one down here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this one down here is just opening up.
Oh, yeah, that is pretty.
Go through that way, put your little glasses there.
Oh, okay. It almost looks like an azalea blossom.
Yeah.
And our 6,000 plus orchid collection in there, many of which we feature in our orchid show we have through January through March. We'll see many fountains and fine fountains and sculptures on our tour. The first things we see are two pieces of Chipunga African sculpture. This one coming up on our left is entitled The Sole Provider. And it was given to us by the people of Zimbabwe in memory of those who perished in 9/11. And we have a second one on our right past this huge sycamore tree. This one's called Protecting the Eggs. And it represents humanity's need to protect the environment as the bird is guarding her nest. Now we have 3 indoor conservatories open to the public. The first we see with the slanted roof there on our right is our Missouri Temperate House. Inside there we have plants that grow in the 5 regions of the world that share a Mediterranean climate. We got an orange garden in there, a biblical garden, and a beautiful area of carnivorous plants. Now this whimsical floating family sculpture coming up on our left is entitled Zero G, and that's by the American artist Paul Granlund. That represents zero gravity. The little pathway right behind that we call Magnolia Grove. It's already flowered out, but we got beautiful magnolia trees that signal the beginning of spring and the end of a long, long winter. But they've all flowered out, but keep that in mind next time you're down here in early spring. This beautiful tree on our left is a ginkgo. They're also known as maidenhair trees. They can be distinguished by their unique butterfly-shaped leaf. It's an ancient species that goes all the way back to the Jurassic period. You'll see some up close and personal younger ones. Out in the Japanese garden, you can see that distinctive leaf real easily there. Now on both sides of us is our Castle Guam dwarf conifer garden. Here we have a selection of small, hardy, cone-bearing plants that grow well in the Midwest. On our right in front of the dome is the Heckman Rock Garden. Here we have an assortment of plants that grow naturally in a rocky environment. Many are native to Missouri, and some are endangered species. We're now going to turn on to the central axis of the garden. As we do, look to our right, and you'll see these 3 pools. They were constructed in 1917, and were designed to showcase our collection of water lilies. And that's what they'll be doing in a couple of weeks when it gets warm enough to put them out. In the rectangular pools on either side, we'll have our regular tropical water lilies. And in the center pool, we have our very popular giant Victoria water lilies, the ones with the upturned edges. Those guys, when we put them in, are only about 8 inches across. By the end of the summer, they're 3 feet across. Now, we've already already got out our Walla Walla onions, those colorful glass things. They were made by the glass artist Dale Giulli. The 7 bronze sculptures that are here all the time were made by the Swedish artist Carl Mills. His style might look familiar. He also did the statues out in front of Union Station in downtown St. Louis. The tall trees on either side of our central axis are bald cypress. This is a deciduous conifer, which means they both lose their needles and also bear cones. It's an ancient species of tree related to the redwoods, and these guys were planted in the 1920s. Now ahead of us is our Climatron, our award-winning geodesic dome. It opened in 1960 and it contains a tropical rainforest. This was the first successive use of the futuristic design created by Buckminster Fuller as a greenhouse conservatory. The interior has no supports or columns, and that allows for more light and space for the plants to grow. The name Climatron refers to its computerized climate control system that maintains temperatures up to 85 degrees at day and 64 degrees at night, with humidity average of about 85%. We have all kinds of plants and specimens in there, a lot of them used for food and medicine, as well as exotic and rare plants, such as the double coconut palm, that produces the largest seed in the plant kingdom, sometimes up to 50 pounds. The large trees coming up on either side of the bench here on our left are pin oaks. They, along with white shingle oaks, are the dominant trees of Missouri, and are quite important to our economy. Now, as we make the turn here, the path coming up on our left is flanked on both sides by bottled brush buckeyes, so named for the shape of their blooms. They'll join us in June. You can see the stems sticking up already. You just picture white flowers all over those stems. Well, that's the name bottle brush buckeyes. Now our new bright joy is the bottom of the hill on the right. We've expanded our Brookings Exploration Center that occupies the lower level of the Climatron. We had a large construction project this past winter that expanded it to provide new state-of-the-art interactive features and include a new plant lab for hands-on learning and discovery. You can access it also by taking the path to the right, which will also bring you into our 2-acre doors up children's garden, where children can enjoy an adventure from the 19th century and also experience nature and learn about plants and trees, etc. The tall trees that kind of dissect the children's garden, ending with the big one outside the fence here on our right, are historic Osage oranges, and they were originally planned to line the carriage path that led up to Henry's Country Home and Tower Grove House. We'll see in a couple of minutes. Now, if you take the path here on our left and go up the hill, in the foreground behind this bush is our Shapley Fountain, and right past that is our Lehman Rose Garden, one of our 2 rose gardens. Up the hill on our right, you'll see that circular moon gate entrance to our Chinese garden that was built by representatives from our sister city, Nanjing. It's an elegant garden, and all the stuff inside was also made by representatives of our sister city, Nanjing. Well, to tell people about it this time of the year, because you can barely see it later on in the season, it gets all covered up. Although they've trimmed it down, so that might not be the case this time. Now, this beautiful tree on our left is a European hornbeam tree. We use the adjective luxuriant in front of that. I've never seen another European hornbeam tree, so not sure they're all that luxuriant, but it's certainly an appropriate adjective for that tree. These perfectly trained sheep are actually functional benches right here on our left, and they were designed by the French artist Francois Lalande. If you follow that path down the hill, you'll see our Cohen Amphitheater. The shell's not up yet, but the stand is there all the time. It comes in quite handy. For our Whitaker Music Festivals, succession of Wednesday evenings and Saturday, we have live music, and we have free admittance, and we have portable beverages available to bring or to buy if you're old enough, and you can also bring food. Those are a bunch of things that never happen. We're waiting and warm enough, so don't be dissuaded. All these areas will be full of all kinds of beautiful plants again later on. Now our Timber Center for Home Gardening has 23 landscape design and demonstration areas. You can glimpse some here on the right through the trellis. We got an outstanding vegetable garden. We got a fruit garden in there. We got a turf comparison area if anybody's thinking about replanting their yard. You can get some grass ideas from our turf demonstration. We also have a weather station of our state of horticultural programs. Now this area coming up on our left back in Henry Shaw's day was a working farm. We now use it as a fruit garden. We grow strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and believe it or not, kiwis, even though they're not native to this climate. Now right past that you see 3 boxes. They contain colony of rather docile Italian honeybees were introduced for educational purposes and to enhance pollination at the garden. And they were all out here for a dip in the fresh air earlier this morning, but evidently the beekeepers got them all back in there, but it looked kind of crazy about 2 hours ago. Now to our right we have our bird garden, which contains plants such as coneflowers, sunflowers, roses of Sharon, hollies, and crab apples that were intended to attract and provide shelter for birds. This beautiful brick facade on our left is the entrance to our blocky boxwood garden. It's a very formal garden that contains carefully pruned boxwood hedges, a gazebo, and coming soon a new bonsai display. This air garden and a glade. Their wildflowers provide an ideal habitat for both birds and butterflies. Another feature will be our native ground cover garden. We'll show how to use native plants in a home garden. Take this upcoming path on our right, you can visit our George Washington Carver Garden. It's tucked away to the right down there. It's a tribute to a legendary scientist who was born in our state in the town of Diamond Grove. Once it gets warm enough, he will also have aquatic plants in his reflecting pool in front of his lifetime sculpture. Here on our right is our 14-acre Japanese garden, Seiwa Inn, the garden of pure, clear harmony and peace. It was designed by Professor Koichi Kwana and dedicated in 1977. It's filled with symbolism, starting with this granite bird basin here on our right that signifies the gods of good fortune. The plaque by the Japanese maple on the left of the basin shows that it was planted by the Emperor of Japan to commemorate his visit. Now beyond the stones you see in the center of a 4-acre lake, we have a curved bridge called Takobashi, or drum bridge, that leads to Tea House Island, an authentic Japanese tea house opened during our annual Japanese festival on Labor Day weekend. Japanese gardens are designed to be beautiful in all seasons as their muted tone change constantly. Spring we've enjoyed our cherry blossoms, flowering crab apples, peonies, and azaleas. Summer will bring us the rich color of lotus and iris. Even in the winter, snow is considered a flower in this garden. In fact, Seiwa was designed to be its most scenic just after a snowfall. Japan's an island nation, so water is always present in a Japanese garden, either physically or symbolically in the form of raked gravel beds to represent ocean waves. Ahead we have a waterfall, Saga no Taki, which evokes the sound of Mount Cascade as it flows over 3 giant steps representing heaven and earth. Let's listen. Neat thing about that waterfall, you can see it from a variety of locations when you walk around the Japanese garden. Speaking of which, this is our second reboarding stop. If anybody wants to get out and walk around the Japanese garden or the upcoming English woodland garden, or just sit there on the bench and contemplate the odds of getting on one of our subsequent trams, you're more than welcome to. Again, we prefer you get off to the left. Any gamblers on the board? I think we're all going to stay, Candies. So at your leisure, mosey on, scream and yell if I misinterpreted your lack of movement. There we go. Now remember I told you we'd see some younger ginkgo trees. Well, here's a whole grove of them behind the bench here. They were planted in 1969. And just turn your head to the left and you can see those distinctive butterfly-shaped leaves we spoke of earlier. Now when we cross this little stone wall, we enter our 3-acre informal shade garden that we call the English woodland garden. Here we have 3 vegetation layers. There's an upper canopy of trees, including oaks, maples, ashes, and tulip trees. Then we have a middle layer of shrubs like azaleas and hydrangeas, and down here with us, a lower layer of wildflowers and other perennials. A little bit about the mission of the garden as we enjoy the shade here. It's to discover and share knowledge about plants and their environment in order to live an enriched life. In keeping with our mission, the garden is the center for worldwide research and conservation, with effort currently ongoing in 30 different countries. Most of our botanists and research students are based at our Monsanto Center, which is 2 blocks west of here in Shaw and Vanderbilt. This is also home to our library, which contains one of the world's most important collections devoted to systematic botany, with the earliest volume published way back in 1474. Also located there is our herbarium, a plant specimen library, which is the cornerstone of botanical research. It's grown to a whopping 6.5 million specimens and counting every day. Now, as we cross the stone wall, we leave our English woodland garden. Look to the left, you'll see a spectacular giant dogwood. It's a native of China and the Himalayas. and it features some large white flowers that blossom in spring. And we're probably about at the most beautiful day of the year for our beautiful, spectacular giant dogwood. You don't have to give it the once over twice to recognize it's a bit different than the dogwoods native to the States, and it is just my favorite tree in the garden for the last 25 years. It's just one beautiful specimen, and it doesn't get any prettier than this, folks. I wish we could just spend the whole day looking at that. But alas, we have things to do, including looking to our right. You'll see that lawn there being transformed into a naturalized bulb meadow showing alternative to turf. You see those large trees off to the left there, those are medicine sequoias. They're also called dawn redwoods. They're native to China and once thought to be extinct until they were rediscovered and planted here in the middle of the last century. If you take that path in front of the medicine sequoias, you can visit both our Germanstrasse Fest garden and our Bavarian garden, the two least visited gardens in the garden because they're way off the beaten path. That ornamental fence behind the house there, that encloses our herb garden maintained by the St. Louis Herb Society. Appropriately named Angel Fountain there on our right, originally stood in front of the World's Fair right here in St. Louis in 1904 in Forest Park. That huge tree between the fountain and us, that's a Scotch elm. And it also dates back to the time of the World's Fair. We've now entered our Wittgenstein Victorian District, the most historic area of the garden. As we circle in front of the house here, you'll see a bronze sculpture of Henry Shaw, our founder, was put in 1989 to memorialize the centennial of his passing in 1889 at the age of 89 from malaria. This rose-colored granite mausoleum with the green copper roof here on our left, that's his final resting place. He's beneath a tomb, a white marble sculpture which he posed while holding his favorite flower, a rose. Now coming up is our Cresco family Victorian garden here on the left. This type of garden was at the height of fashion in the middle of the 19th century when Henry Shaw toured Europe and inspired to create this beautiful place. In the center of the Victorian garden we have a sculpture entitled Juno, which has stood 8 different locations since being brought here by Henry Shaw 120 years ago. Now past the Victorian garden, you can see that yellow piper observatory tower. That overlooks our maze, and then beyond that is our Schoenberg administration building. The portion we can see from here was originally Henry Shaw's townhouse that stood in downtown St. Louis, not far from where the arch is located. He left provisions in his will that the house be dismantled brick by brick and rebuilt where it stands today. We're now pulling up in front of the Tower Grove House, Henry's country home. It's built in 1840. Work on it started in 1849, and it's an amazing structure and house. It's free with your garden admission. It's open Wednesday through Sunday from 10 to 4. So folks, this is our final reboarding stop here at the Tower Grove House. Anybody who wants to get out and play the tram lottery here is more than welcome. We'll be back here 2 more times and we can get you back on with those reboarding passes, subject to seating availability. So is anybody going to get off here? Those that are going to stay with us, we're going to come around and collect those little carny tickets. So if you can get those things back out.
I don't care. But no. Mary said.
And we'll come around and collect those tickets. If anybody's going to get off here, so referring to their destination as Tower Grove, referring to that tower, and the grove of sassafras trees, the direct descendants of which are inside the fence here to the left. So everything around here is Tower Grove because of that. We got Tower Grove Avenue on our east side, Tower Grove Park south of us, and there's Tower Grove churches, neighborhoods, well, yada yada. It's all because of that tower and then these sassafras trees, grandpas. Now this building on our right is our Sachs Museum building. It was designed by the founder
wouldn't be able to film on this side.
constructed in 1859. And the house our first library and librarian. Renovation and reopening of the historic building will commence this year. And that big tree between the house and us, that is a national champion. That's a white basswood tree, and it's approximately 100 feet tall. It's an 80-foot crown spread, and a trunk circumference of about 12 feet. This cute little dwelling on our right is our herring house, built in 1895, in accordance with Henry Shaw's wishes to serve as a residence for the groundskeeper. It's been unoccupied since 2001, as you can see. In the area around it is being renovated as we speak. The white limestone structure on our left was first intended to be Henry Shaw's mausoleum, but he decided against that since he don't think the limestone would hold up long enough. So instead he placed a marble sculpture called Victory inside, representing the victory of science over ignorance. That eye-catching tree right behind it with the branches that literally swoop to the ground, that's an immortal cork tree. The beds along this path make up our Jenkins Daylily garden. We have 15 1,500 different varieties grow. The daylily is an easy to grow, hardy perennial, with most of its species coming from Asia. The botanical name for the daylily is Hemerocallis. That's a Greek term meaning beautiful day because its blossoms, which appear in June, July, last only for about 1 day or evening. And we've got a couple that are already blooming in early May. Now that pine tree to the left of the daylilies, that's an eastern white pine. At full maturity, those guys can get up to 200 feet tall. We also have a large concentration of witch hazel shrubs in this area. They reach peak bloom usually January and March and gives us some nice winter color. The native limestone wall on our right is part of the original garden was constructed beginning in 1856. Now this tree coming up on our left, the first one's a horse chestnut tree. That features large white flowers in the spring. And it also has medicinal properties. There's a little sign in front that will explain that. And then our next sign tree is a sweet gum tree. And that, everybody who's around here barefoot knows about those little gum balls. We nicknamed that tree Brilliance, and that comes in is appropriate during our garden glow. This will be our 4th annual nighttime light show that you walk around the garden during the Christmas holidays. And we wrap that one up in a bunch of blue lights, and it lights this area up. Speaking of lighting this area up, mainly on our left is our Goodman Iris garden. The iris is one of the oldest cultivated plants. It is named for the goddess of the rainbow. They normally bloom in the month of May. We have 1,500 different varieties found here. Every color appears except for scarlet, which is yet to be hybridized. I'm thinking it's pretty close to full bloom right now. Look at all those colors. Man. Favorite flower of the iris. Now here on the right is our Spink Pavilion. It used to be called the Flora Gatehouse. The original entrance, built in 1858, served as the garden's main entrance until we opened the Ridgeway Visitor Center in 1982. We now use it for meetings and luncheons, and on weekends from April to October, it turns into Cafe Flora, where we serve an a la carte brunch from 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock. We're now going to turn back onto the central axis of the garden. If we had gone straight, you'd go right through our hosta and our sensory garden. You end up down in our beautifully designed ottoman garden. Now I can tell you a little bit more about the garden as we make this turn here. Shaw's Garden has been affectionately named by the people of St. Louis because it was the vision of Henry Shaw, who founded it in 1859. He was born in 1800, he migrated from England in 1819, he arrived in St. Louis, and then he prospered in the hardware business. He was a wealthy man. By the age of 39, he began traveling extensively to Europe, where he aspired to create a garden here on his country estate. From its inception, Shaw planned his garden for the enjoyment of the public and the advancement of botany. This vision formed the threefold commitment that still drives us now: research, education, and what we're seeing on our tour today, horticultural displays. Through his will, he provided his garden would be, in his own words, left for all time for the public good. And that vision is now carried on by a board of trustees and our director, Dr. Peter Rice Jackson, the former director of the National Botanic Gardens of Ireland. He's a renowned botanist, author, and conservationist. In fact, he has a beautiful coffee table book he wrote a couple years ago about the fauna of Ireland, his native country. There's something new every day around here. Now, if you look down this path coming up on our right, you'll be looking right through our Grandy Rose Garden, the older, more classically designed of our 2 rose gardens. You see those white circular arbors on either side. They have some more details, which really handiwork. Those yellow sculptures represent sunrise and sunset, respectively. Now, we're going to pull up in front of the Climatron here. It's not a reboarding spot, but it is a spot that we're going to let you get off if you want to and explore the garden without having to retrace the last couple
You hopping off your jet?
back to our shelter.
I guess.
You're going to get off just like everywhere. We prefer you to get off the left
Back
here.
the other
So
way,
would
I
anybody like to
guess.
get off here? Thank you.
right across from the train station in Kirkwood.
They only have real scientific names. Anyway.
On the other side it tells.
Yeah. Just tried swiping it right out of its mind. If I was a fish, I'd be getting so mad at that dog.
The duck is so much faster.
No, we don't see him.
I think he's taking a nap.
He must be under the bridge.
Do you all happen to know if you wanted to go back to the gift shop, would going around this way or go back around the other way as
This
far as
way's
the shortest?
fast.
Great, thank you so much.
Sure. Did you see the one that has the pink ears, the pink feathers?
No.
Oh, he's fabulous, but he keeps going under, and then he comes out and he goes under. So I can't get him. But he's yellow.
Huh.
He's yellow. I don't really want to get him. Oh, this must be a baby. Right here, sweetie pie. You little. Right there. Right here, right here. He just went under.
Totally go for it, too. No, they will.
Oh, there's the yellow pen right there. Oh, shoot. Is he still there?
What is the pink ears?
I mean, it's definitely yellow. No orange.
No, you're right. He's yellow. I don't know if I got him in one of these or not. Here.
There we go. Keep your feet on the. Keep your feet on the.
Oh, yeah. Here's the baby again, Abigail, right here. See the baby, how much smaller the yellow one is than the other ones? And the white, they're called peonies. There's double and single.
But there's just something balanced about it. Oh, wow.
probably didn't